Laws ban actions which stop a third party buying goods from another, but campaigns which are based on environmental or consumer concerns are exempt from the ban on secondary boycotts. The forestry and fisheries industries have previously been the targets of boycott campaigns. The Tasmanian Liberal Senator and Parliamentary Secretary for Agriculture, Richard Colbeck, says those industries have raised concerns with him, and the government will consider the issue as a part of its root and branch review of competition law.
There's certainly plenty of discussion around some of those resource-based sectors in respect of the fact that they're held to scrutiny by the Consumer and Competition Act, as they should be, but environment groups aren't, and they believe that if an environment group makes a claim in the market, it should be held to scrutiny in just the same way as they are.
So at the end of the day, do you think we'll see those exemptions removed?
Well, that's one of the things that we're talking about.
One of the campaigns which has raised concerns makes claims about the sustainability of Australian forestry.
Harvey Norman's massive Aussie forest clearance is on now! We chop down Aussie native forests, ship them to China to make furniture, and then ship the furniture back to you!
The CEO of the Australian Forest Products Association, Ross Hampton, says he wants environment campaigns to stick to the truth.
It's all managed sustainably under our certification systems that we acknowledge in Australia. So,
if someone disagrees with you, though, is there a freedom of speech issue if they are banned from raising those concerns publicly?
Oh, no one would ever suggest that would happen, and I don't believe any Australian government would ever say that anyone would be banned from raising concerns about anything in our area, in forestry and forest products, or indeed in any of the other businesses that operate in Australia. I think where Australians get troubled, though, is when the line is crossed and when untruths told about what goes on in the interest of seeking a particular outcome.
Sam McLean is the national director of the group behind that campaign, Get Up.
What this would mean is that groups like WWF or Choice, Get Up, might not be able to highlight the damaging environmental practices of big business. It would take away a key protection for freedom of speech in the public interest.
Well, the government and the Forest Products Association say it's not about suppressing free speech, it's just about protection against things that aren't true.
Well, we can't make claims that aren't true. They have to be held up in the court of public opinion and in the court of law. This is not about truth.
The Institute of Public Affairs has been one of the most vocal supporters of the federal government's plan to change racial discrimination laws in the name of free speech.
I think the government's free speech stance is very admirable, but we need to see them be consistent across the board with that.
Institute of Public Affairs research fellow Chris Berg.
If you dislike what a company or organisation is doing, you should be able to advocate and debate in the marketplace of ideas that we should, that you and your fellow sympathisers should stop spending their money in a way that supports the company. I think that's a completely legitimate form of political expression.
And what's at stake here? What are the values behind your belief?
This is a freedom of speech issue, first and foremost. Freedom of speech is a fundamental democratic and liberal principle, and it's been our argument for some time that the way we express ourselves in the marketplace can be as much a form of free expression as anything else.
Senator Colbeck rejects the suggestion that his stance is anti-free speech.
I don't think it inhibits free speech. It just means that you need to be accountable for what you say, and I think that should hold up in any circumstance.
Aren't there other methods of bringing them into line and holding them to account for factual inaccuracies?
Well, we might come to that point at the end of the process, but we've said that there's going to be a written branch review of the Consumer and Competition Act. It may be that it's through a different element of that what I'm looking for comes about. I'm not too concerned about that, but what I am concerned about is that when someone makes a claim in the market, they're held accountable. And as I've said before, at the moment they're not, and I think they should be.
That's the Parliamentary Secretary for Agriculture, Richard Colbeck.
Yucky poo.